Welcome to Katalu. I'm your host Manasvi, and today we are going to be talking about a Japanese drama. Alice in Wonderland is a classic story, and in 2020, Japan released a thriller take on that story called Alice in Borderland. This is a drama that holds a very special place in my heart, just like how the show that we covered last week does, but this one for a very different reason. I actually watched this with a really good friend of mine in college over a weekend where we were just like goofing around, eating ramen, eating bubblecone ice cream, and we were browsing through Netflix to see what shows they had recently added, and just on a whim we decided to watch the show, and my god, it is amazing. If you liked Squid Game, then you'll really like this as well. While you're watching, see if you can figure out which characters in the show map to Alice in Wonderland characters and what events map up together. So let's get into it. The show starts off with a young man locked up in a room immersed in a shooter game. He's so into the game that he has sweat dripping all over his face. But his teammates don't pull through and he ends up getting blown up. But before he can restart, his brother bursts through the door. "You didn't go to the interview I set up again. I begged the company for it. You really have to start showing up for my sake. Did I ask you to go and set it up?" Dad said that this is the last time he's helping. He told me not to help you look for a job anymore either. I never asked for your help. But you need it. You're a parasite in this house. Fine, okay, I'll leave then. If only we could reboot reality, right? You were so much better when Mom was alive. The boy shoots out of his chair, drops his gaming console, and walks out into the living room where his father calls out to his back. "Ryohei, I don't need you causing any more trouble for your brother." The boy rolls his eyes and he walks out of the house. And might I add that this is a very nice house, so his family is pretty clearly well off financially. On the street, the boy pulls out his phone and texts his friends, Chōta Seigwa and Daikichi Karube. I apologize in advance for all of the names that I'm going to screw up pronouncing. I'm not very fluent in Japanese, and I tried my best to keep it similar to what I was hearing in the show, but I apologize in advance for all of these butcherings that's gonna happen. Anyway, he pulls out his phone, he texts his friends Chōta and Karube, "Can I go to the bar? I'm officially homeless." And somewhere else in Shibuya, in a bar, a phone rings, displaying the text from Arisu. So I believe that his first name is Ryohei, but I think everybody, like his friends, call him Arisu, or maybe his last name is Arisu. I'm not actually sure, but we will be calling him Arisu. Karube is his friend that works at the bar, and at the moment he's getting it on with a female coworker behind the counter when his boss comes out from the back rooms, I think, the storage areas, and the two lovers jump apart and the boss says, "Oh, it's Karube. You're in early today." I just decided to come in a little bit earlier, and the woman speaks up. "Why are you here at this hour, Kazu?" "I have something to take care of." And Kazu takes off his watch before he sucker punches Karube in the face. He's angry because Karube touched his girl. Karube takes a few hits because he's caught off guard before punching the man right back. When Karube doesn't respond to Arisu's text, Arisu switches to texting Chōta. "Chōta, you working? Let me stay over." Chōta, in the meanwhile, is withdrawing some money from the ATM for his mother. "I'm sorry that you have to do this when you're so busy, Chōta. The money will help us out a lot. Let's make this the last time, okay?" "What do you mean the last time? Don't you understand? The air here in Tokyo is being polluted by the powers of the industry. We need to make it clear again. Here. Everything has to be reclaimed." Yes, I get it already, mother. I gotta go." Arisu is still roaming the streets of Shibuya, and now he's sulking because his friends aren't responding to him. So he stops texting and starts playing this like Rubik's Cube logic puzzle on his phone. Honestly, I don't know how it works, but it's very clearly a logic puzzle. When Karube's text comes through, "I got fired from my job," and Karube is now like smoking a cigarette, so he's like your typical like bad boy kind of vibes. That's what you get from him. And each of them starts sharing their woes in their texts while walking through the busiest city, bumping into people and stepping on ramen. Karube got fired, Chōta is skipping work, and Arisu left his house. But the one thing all three of them can agree on is getting drinks. So they meet up in Shibuya Station, where Arisu points out that it's far too early for any of the pubs to really be open. And then Arisu lets out a big sigh, wishing that he can go to some place unknown. And Chōta adds on, "I'd be down to deal with zombies showing up in Shibuya. Everybody here gets bitten and they'll all turn into zombies. If zombies show up, then only Karube would survive, Chōta. You'd knock them out with one punch." "I highly doubt that. Actually, I think that you'd be the one to survive, Arisu." "Me? Why me?" "Because I know you'd outsmart them." Come on, Arisu, free advice. You should stop hanging out with us and go live your life. Arisu and Chōta laugh off Karube's suggestion, but Karube looks dead serious, causing a silence to fall between the three of them. They're all leaning up against this billboard, staring at the people of the city as they move by them, and after a few minutes, Karube throws his cigarette onto the ground and then picks up Arisu so that he's like seated on Karube's shoulders. This is the first day of your independence, let's take a picture. And he starts walking with Arisu on top of him as Chōta follows along, taking a video of the two of them. They're laughing, giggling like a bunch of kids in the middle of the city. At first, Arisu is shy. He's like telling Karube to put him down and he's swatting at Chōta who's trying to take a video. But as Karube starts spinning him around, Arisu puts out his arms and starts yelling like he's on a roller coaster. Everything is fun and games until they hear a car honk. In their spinning, they had somehow made their way into the middle of the road and the traffic light is currently green, so there's cars like coming at them from both directions. Karube lets Arisu down and the three of them start trying to like run off the road, and as they're running, they see like fireworks going off in the sky, or Chōta sees fireworks going off in the sky, and he like points it out to them, and they get momentarily distracted looking at these fireworks, which causes them not to see the cars coming down the road at them, and they end up causing a traffic accident between like two cars, and I think even like a truck gets involved somewhere. Seeing the accident, the police come out and the boys book it while laughing. They're not trying to get arrested. They run into the station and then into the men's room, and then all three of them get into the same stall. They're laughing these like quiet giggles while Chōta pulls out his phone and points to it, saying that he's like gonna send a text into their group chat, and his text is, "Who farted?" Karube and Arisu, who didn't notice the smell until now, start sniffing before covering up their noses, and then another text from Chōta, "Who was it? Own up to it and sniff up your own fart." And they giggle like schoolboys. And then Arisu and Karube start funneling the fart air towards Chōta because it was obviously him, when someone starts banging on their stall door. They don't open it and the person bangs again, but this time louder. And then all of a sudden, all the lights go out and the banging stops. Arisu puts his ear to the stall door to see if he can hear anything, and when he doesn't, he slowly opens the door to check if anybody is there. But the entire bathroom is suddenly empty. Karube and Chōta trail after Arisu, and when they leave the bathroom, they are shocked. All of Shibuya Station is empty. Not a single person is around. The three friends are utterly confused, and their confusion only grows when they see that all of Shibuya now looks deserted. But the strange thing is that everything is still intact. In fact, it looks like they've really more been frozen in time than anything else. The buildings are still standing, the cars are still on the roads just like how they were a couple minutes ago. There's still trash lining parts of the street. The food inside restaurants is still steaming. It's just the people that are missing. Karube goes to the bar that he was just fired from, and there too, the people that he used to work with are just gone. Chōta goes to his workplace, but the corporate office is also devoid of life. Arisu is running all around the city looking for even one sign of life, but nothing. Everyone just disappeared. The three friends gather at the center of the city again, and each one of them comes up empty-handed. Arisu pulls out his phone to see if that might work, but no, there's no signal on their phones. They sit there on the streets until it's nighttime, just trying to process what the fork is going on. Was there some kind of evacuation drill today? Not that I know of. Some sort of flash mob, maybe an event of some kind? The scale of this is way too large for that, Chōta. What if it's the only three of us left? Arisu's face lights up as he says that, and he shakes a little in his seat, getting excited. That doesn't seem all too bad to me. Don't you find this kind of exciting? Karube finds this entire situation insane, but Chōta and Arisu are actually excited. Chōta is especially glad, I don't have to go to work. No one will be angry with us, and we can eat and drink all we want, right? Arisu and Chōta get excited together, and they start like shouting into the night sky, and it's all fun and games until a building behind them lights up. But it's lit up where it's like a 7x17 kind of rectangle, and they start seeing text. So think of like a large corporate building that's really tall, but the windows, instead of being windows, these are now like screens, and you can display stuff on them. So on these screens that form together to make up like one giant rectangle, you see, welcome players, the game will commence in a moment. And then a few seconds later, the text changes to read, this way to the arena, and it points them to the right. The three friends are confused about what game. Arisu looks around and he sees a red light emanating from a bit further away, so he starts running towards it. And they stop in the front of a building named the GM building. They go inside and there's a TV in there which says the game arena is up ahead. And then a little arrow that's pointing them into a hallway that's in front of them, and that hallway has like a paper attached to it pointing them to the right, which means like this is where you need to go. They slowly walk down the hallway and peek around the corner, but there's no one there. It's an empty hallway with two things of interest: an elevator and a sign pasted underneath like this little ledge on the wall that says one per person, and on the ledge is a bunch of phones. As the three of them walk to the sign, you see them go through like these lasers that are shooting out near their feet. And for each person that passes through these lasers, there's a little ding that goes off, almost sounding like the sound that a game would make when like a player logs in. Above the one per person sign, again, sits a bunch of phones, and all three of them go to pick up a phone, and when they turn it on, the first thing the phone does is it runs like a facial recognition algorithm on the person holding the phone. Once the phone is unlocked, on the home screen there are two apps where the logos look a lot like playing cards, a game card, and a Visa card. And then at the bottom there's a watch icon, a camera icon, a settings icon, and a gallery icon. They try to see if maybe they can call somebody, but the first thing is that there's no signal here, and the second thing is there is no call icon. And the screen on their phone then changes and the phone starts to speak up. Please wait for the game to commence. 2 minutes until registration closes. There are currently 3 participants. Arisu wonders out loud, what the hell is this? And a female voice from behind the three of them says, a game. Chōta is excited to finally see a person, but Karube immediately wants to know what the fork is going on. Hey, do you know where everybody went? But she doesn't answer him. Instead, she walks right up to Chōta, reaches into his shirt coat pocket, takes out his ID, and throws it at the lasers that they all just passed a few minutes ago. But instead of going through like Arisu and his friends were able to, the ID gets zapped as soon as it touches the lasers. And now there is a hole where Chōta's face used to be on his ID. Cross the borderline and you can never return. You have no choice but to play the game. The woman turns around and grabs herself a phone. Arisu rushes up to the laser gate, but he stops when he sees like the lasers get denser the closer he gets, and then another female voice echoes in the hallway. Oh, I'm so relieved. Jeez, I thought that it was just me and nobody else. A little high school girl. She starts walking towards them, and Arisu and his friends start freaking out because they think that she's gonna get lasered to death, but she passes through just fine. The other woman gives the high school girl a phone as well, and then all 3 of their phones beep. Registration is now closed. The game will commence. Game, dead or alive. Difficulty, 3 of clubs. Rules, select the correct door within the stipulated time frame. Clear condition, leave the building within the time limit. And when the announcements are all done, the elevator behind them dings and opens up, and on the back wall of the elevator, the words start are written on it. The older woman makes her way to the elevator, and when no one else moves, she turns around. You'll die if you just stand there. The high school girl follows after her, and after looking at each other, so do Arisu and his friends. The elevator takes them up and then opens up onto a floor before their phone starts speaking again. The time limit for this room is 2 minutes. Everyone steps out of the elevator to look around the room, and inside there are 2 doors. One of them with a really cutesy like girl anime poster on it that says to live, and the other one has a skeleton poster on it that says to die. The floor is checkered with black and white scales, and on the ceiling is like a multiplication sign, but at the end of each of like the edges, I guess, is so like the 4 edges that you would have is a light bulb, like 1 light bulb for each edge. Chōta is really excited about this, and he opens up his camera and starts filming. Is this really a game? I think this is starting to get really exciting. I'm sure that this is just some sort of event. Arisu and Karube go to inspect the to live poster, and all the high school girl wants to do is go home. Chōta tries to offer her some comfort. It'll be fine. You're with us. We'll play the game, get our prize, and go home, okay? Karube and Arisu move on to inspect the to die poster, and then their phones remind them that they only have 1 minute left. Karube asks, Arisu, which door do you think it is? Arisu is unsure, so Chōta adds his 2 cents. Dead or alive? Well, can't be the skeleton, right? Arisu turns around to ask the older woman, and if we choose the wrong door? The answer is alive. Open the door that says alive. How do you know? Because obviously it has to be the door that says to live, right? And Chōta smells something weird, and as soon as he says that, smoke starts coming up from the vents that are on the floor. Their phone goes off again. 30 seconds remaining. The answer is alive. Hurry up and open the door. But Karube is not having it. Open it yourself. But Arisu is still curious. What happens if our time is up? We won't get more time. Hurry. Well, then why do you think that to live is the right one? Their phone goes off again. 20 seconds remaining. The high school girl has just had enough. She runs to the to live door, opens it, and tries to step through when a laser comes shooting down, and the laser goes through like the top of her head and comes out underneath her chin, and the high school girl falls to the floor. Their phones go off again. 10 seconds remaining. The older woman takes this chance to open the door with the skeleton on it and goes through. Karube and Arisu go in after her as the phone starts counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2. Arisu sees that Chōta is frozen in place, and he pulls him through the door just in time, because as soon as the phone reaches 1, fires start shooting up from the floor, and no sooner do they close their door does their phone go off again. The time limit for this room is 1 minute and 50 seconds, and the friends lose their shit. Arisu approaches the older woman. What the hell is this? You're the one who killed that girl. But you guys survived because of me, didn't you? Blame me all you want. If you guys don't think fast, you're gonna die too. And Karube is now thinking fast. Do we choose the die door now, huh? Arisu's brain is malfunctioning, but he's still trying to reason things out. Karube, since the last one was die, the next one should be to live, right? Right, it can't be to die twice in a row. But still, it's kind of hard to choose die. The woman weighs in her thoughts. Wait a second, I think that this is the game where we choose to sacrifice a person. There's probably no difference in the doors. What's important is who opens them. They want us to choose a person within the time limit. And Arisu is appalled. You sacrificed that girl. Why don't you open the door next? Because I believe if I survive, it'll be good for all mankind. And in the corner of the room, Chōta vomits as their phone rings out again. 1 minute has passed. Smoke starts to come through the vents, and the woman and Arisu get into a fight. No one will open the door at this rate. Then why don't you open it? You want me to open it so badly. Why don't you do it yourself? You always want someone else to open it. All right, fine, I'll open it. Arisu goes to the live door, pauses in front of it, and he starts looking back and forth between the live door and the die door. And he heads towards the die door, lifts up his shaking hand, puts it on the doorknob. The phone beeps. 30 seconds remaining. He stands there for a good 10 seconds before he drops to his knees, sweating, and the woman is on him. See? It's not that easy, is it? Even you would have sacrificed that girl. Karube tells her to shut the hell up. 20 seconds remaining. Karube gathers his courage and heads to the live door. I'll do it. He's not very lucky anyway. We'll take turns. You'll go after me, woman. 10 seconds remaining. Arisu is still on his knees yelling at his friend to stop, but Karube only pauses for 1 second before opening the live door. He falls through and freezes. But there's no laser. He picked the right door. They all rush in after him with no time to spare again, and no sooner do they step into this room does their phone go off again. The time limit for this room is 1 minute and 40 seconds. So the time is getting shorter and shorter from room to room, and Karube gathers himself before looking up at the woman. We're taking turns, right? You open the door next. I'll choose the door. He grabs her hand and pushes her to the live door. The woman starts shitting her pants while Karube is yelling at her to open it. I can't open it. Karube lets out a monumental sigh before turning to Arisu. Arisu, what do you think? You always say that there are solutions built into every game, right? But this isn't a game, Karube. You can figure it out, Arisu. You've always solved the puzzle games that I could never figure out, so do it. Karube, this is not a game. It's all about luck. 1 minute has passed. Arisu, just think, was there a clue somewhere? Think back. Together we came into this building and then we went on the elevator. But Arisu is hell-bent on the fact that he can't do it. Don't give up, Arisu. You can't reboot this game. It's impossible. I'm telling you, it's impossible. You are the gamer. While I was working my ass off, you were sitting on your couch playing games. And now Arisu's ego is hurt, so the two of them start fighting, and Karube punches Arisu in the face. He sends the man flying across the room, and that punch actually did seem to knock some sense into Arisu because he remembers something. Wait a minute. 30 seconds remaining. Arisu gets up off the ground and walks to the middle of the room. BMW 523. It was a BMW 523. The answer is to die, and the woman speaks up. How do you know? 10 seconds remaining. Arisu prays for his life and opens the door, and again, there's no laser, which means that he was right. They've once again made it just by a hair. The time limit on this room is 1 minute and 30 seconds. And Chōta speaks up for the first time since he saw the high schooler die. Where to next? Do you know which one it is this time? And oh boy, does he know. This is lengthy and complicated, so prepare yourselves. And Arisu starts explaining his reasoning. My father had a BMW 523. It's 4 meters, 94 centimeters. One of them is parked outside this building, right beside it. And the length of this building is equivalent to approximately 4 of those cars. This means that the building is approximately 24 meters in length. And if I measure it with my feet, and he starts walking on one of the sides of the rooms with his feet. 1, 2, 3. It should be around 6 meters, and according to the evacuation map, the elevator is at the corner of the building. The shape of this building is a square, and this room is also square-shaped. And assuming that one of the sides of this building is 20 meters, and the length of a single room is 6 meters, there's 3 rooms aside. 1 minute has passed. I need something to write on. The woman hands over a pen while Chōta pulls out this notebook and gives it to Arisu. Arisu gets out onto the ground and he starts drawing out like this Sudoku square of a board. And I'm going to see if I can like make a little graphic and add it like here or maybe here, I don't know, just to make this easier to follow along with. And he continues, we're in a square building. Assuming that each room is also a square, this means that this floor has 9 rooms. We started in this room right here. The high school girl died in this room over here. Thanks to Karube, we moved forward, which means that the door to the right cannot be accessed. Then I opened the door to this room. 30 seconds remaining. By process of elimination, this room and the one beside it can't be accessed. I'm sure of that. 10 seconds remaining. The answer is dead. The alive door is a trap, and they all rush forward to the door and they make it through laser free. The time limit for this room is 1 minute and 20 seconds. Karube is so freaking excited. I knew that you could do this. We're gonna survive if your reasoning is right, Arisu. You're awesome. This game is not at all based on luck. We need to clear it together. According to my drawing, the next answer should also be dead. And the party go through the die door, and the 3 of them have this little huddle. They're smiling at each other. The time limit for this room is 1 minute, 10 seconds. The team hops through the live door completely unscathed. The time limit for this room is 1 minute. Arisu's happiness gets interrupted though when he looks around at this new room and there is no door in front of them. Instead, there's a door to their right and there's a door to their left. And according to Arisu's diagram, the die door, which is to their left, leads to an outer wall. And the live door leads to a room where they had previously eliminated. Chōta, Karube, and the woman theorize that the die door has to be the answer since the room that points to live is one that they've already eliminated. But Arisu stops them from opening the die door. Wait a second, I might have missed something. 50 seconds remaining. The room we're in right now is on the left end corner of the building. The clear condition is to leave the building. That's why we would choose the dead door to lead us outside. But as I recall, there's no gap between this building and the adjoining building. The alive door will lead us to where the high school girl died. I don't know why there's no door connecting to the back of this building. I must have overlooked something, but what? What is it? There shouldn't be any space for them to create a trap. And if that's the case, while Arisu is reasoning things out, smoke starts coming through the vents again and the woman starts freaking out. We're wasting time, we're all gonna die. And Karube is once again standing up for his friends. You haven't even opened a door yet. They start fighting when Arisu remembers something. Chōta, you took a video of the first room, right? They all gather to look at the video that Chōta took. 30 seconds remaining. Arisu starts zipping through the video and he stops at the moment that the girl opens the door. There's no door in the room that the girl entered, meaning that there wasn't a door visible to them opposite on the wall where they would have entered if they had taken the live door the first time they were in that very first room. There's a door over here though. 10 seconds remaining. Wait, but that means that the room that the high school girl died isn't next to us. There's another room on the other side. And he starts booking it towards the live door as their phone starts counting down. 3, 2, 1. Chōta, who was the last one to make it out of the room, actually ends up getting hit with the fire on his foot. The time limit for this room is 10 seconds. Karube takes off his shirt and he tries putting out the fire on Chōta's leg while the woman heads to the live door. But Arisu stops her. It's not alive, it's dead. Don't open that one, it's a trap. 5, 4, 3. Arisu opens the die door, and once again, they all make it out just in the nick of time. They run down the emergency stairs that are going along the sides of the building, with Karube carrying along a limping Chōta. And when they reach the road, their phones go off again. Game cleared. Congratulations. They are all completely silent until the woman breaks it. It's all thanks to you guys. Thank you. Chōta's leg, however, looks like it's been burned pretty badly, and he's thinking that this is karma. While they're all catching their breath, the woman notices a table a couple feet away from them. She walks towards it, and on the small round table is a playing card, a 3 of clubs playing card. They're all staring at the card when their phone goes off again. To the survivors of the game, we will now supply you with a visa, a 3-day visa. Arisu is wondering what a visa is when their attention is diverted to a ragged man walking through the alleyway that they're in. And this man stops walking when he sees them, and he yells out, "I'm going to drop out of this game. You guys, there's no end to this at all, no matter how much you clear. My visa just ended today. Finally, this is the end." He looks up at the sky, and a couple seconds later, a laser comes out of the sky and shoots him. He drops to the floor, and all the lights in the city go out. They walk up to this dead man's body, and the woman tells the boys about the visa. When your visa expires, you must return to the game, or you end up like this. If you don't want to die, you'll have to continue playing the game. Arisu looks up at the sky, and as the camera zooms out to give us a full view of the city, we see lasers going off all around the city. And standing on top of a high-rise building is a young woman watching it all happen. The woman closes her eyes, and we get a memory of her climbing a mountainside, like real rock climbing, not like hiking or those those fake rock walls that you can go into like in Seattle. She's steadily making progress like 5,000 feet in the air. Don't quote me on that, I'm not really sure if that's how high she is. But then she suddenly loses her footing and she starts falling. She slides like 100 yards before her rope gets caught by a man at the top of the mountain. He's straining all of his muscles to hold on to her as he yells, "Focus on what you're doing, Yuzuha." Back in the dystopian Tokyo city, she's watching as more and more lasers come down, and she puts out an ultimatum into the world. "I'm going to survive, Dad." And in her hands is another playing card. Morning dawns, and it's as empty as it was the day before. Arisu is going around the city to see if he can start a car, but none of them work, and in some of the cars, there's this really foul smell because of rotting fruits and vegetables that are just sitting next to like these passenger seats or in the back or in people's trunks. Karube suggests that they should start gathering supplies that they think will be useful, and they set up base in this furniture and interior goods floor of this gigantic shopping mall, where Chōta is comfortably laying on a bed next to Arisu being bandaged up. He's surrounded by electronics, and he's tinkering with them before sighing. "Just as I thought, all the IC chips have been destroyed. Video cameras, digital clocks, anything that operates with an electric circuit board isn't going to work. But old stuff like this still works, since none of these have IC chips." And he picks up a radio. When he turns the channels though, nothing really comes out, it's just a bunch of static. "What do you mean, Chōta?" And Chōta thinks back to the fireworks that he saw up in the sky when they were running away from the cops. It might mean some electromagnetic pulse attack or something like that. I read about it online. When inserted into the stratosphere, it's a weapon that's capable of destroying electronics in the entire city. Seriously? So then why is this working? And Arisu looks down at his phone, but it's like he almost jinxed himself, because as soon as he shows it to Chōta, the battery runs out and the phone turns off. Karube and Shibuki, which Shibuki is the woman that they were just playing that live or die game with, are in the kitchen appliances section of the mall. Karube pockets a knife, just for emergencies, and Shibuki is confused. "What do you need a weapon for?" Karube looks at her and says, "Zombies." And Shibuki lets out a laugh while looking at some pots. "You know that you can't use electricity or gas, right?" "Yeah, but I can still use a portable stove. It has batteries, and I can also use those in my flashlight. And I like a hot meal sometimes. What are you gonna do, kill me?" And she grabs the pot. The team turns on some music via some cassettes, and they enjoy the best meal of their lives. They haven't eaten since yesterday, and for some reason, I feel like Shibuki is the only one out of them who can cook, so they all savor the meal. Once they've filled their stomachs a good amount, Shibuki asks her friends, Hey, what were you guys doing when everyone disappeared? And Chōta answers her, bathroom, we were all in the same stall. What were you guys doing all in the same stall? But instead of answering her, Karube comes back with a question of his own. Where were you? And we get this scene of Shibuki in bed with a man. They're getting hot and heavy, and on the table beside them, we see a wedding ring and a phone. I was at work. I was in a conference room doing some paperwork, and then suddenly everyone in the office just disappeared. So basically she was sleeping with her boss, probably a married man, most likely trying to climb like the corporate ladder. And Arisu wants to know if she heard or saw anything strange or weird. But when everyone had disappeared, Shibuki was in the shower of the hotel room when all of a sudden her water got shut off. She left the bathroom to see where her boss had gone, and when she looked out the window, the city was empty. No, not really. I came to this place 3 days ago and I was forced to play this game just like you all were. Everyone died except for me. Karube narrows his eyes at her. You mean that you used them all as bait, right? Think whatever you want of me, but all I wanted was to survive. They're all quiet for a bit before Arisu speaks up. What kind of game was it? It was at the subway. They used poisonous gas in the game. Everyone was vomiting blood and blood was coming out of their eyes. It's strange, isn't it? The day everyone disappeared, it was yesterday for the three of us, but it was 3 days ago for you. Why that time difference? And those vegetables that were rotten, they take a lot longer than just a couple days to go bad. So what the hell is going on? And Shibuki has a theory. Maybe the speed of time is different from the normal world. I don't really know, but like take the four of us here. The timeline of when people disappeared is different, just like you said. Chōta wonders if they happen to, I don't know, go back in time in that little bathroom, and Karube tells him politely to shut up. Arisu interrupts their argument and pulls out the playing card that they got last night. Anyway, one thing that we know for sure about this game is that a game master is running it. Someone came up with this game, and that is for sure. And now starts the conspiracy theories. Arisu is wondering how in the world someone managed to move all of the people in Tokyo out and set up like a laser so that they get shot through the head if they do something wrong. Like, that is some insane technology. Karube believes that it isn't human, and Chōta's theory is that something like this would be possible if they inserted highly accurate GPS chips into each and every single person's body, something that the federal government could do. Now, listen, I know that federal governments in the world are powerful, but could they really be so organized enough to pull something like this off? I have my doubts. Anyway, back to the theories. Shibuki's theory is VR. There's some rumors going around at work where an IT company in Europe wanted to conduct this experiment. They established a VR space that created this alternative world identical to the real one. And this one is actually really an interesting theory because I don't know if any of you are familiar with Memories of Alhambra, but that one actually deals with VR and the real world kind of blending together. So it's really interesting to see that like people are thinking about this, which is crazy. Anyway, Karube is confident that he has a really good, sensor system in his body where he can tell VR and the real world apart. And I know for a fact that with the current landscape of how VR is doing with Meta Quest and the Apple Vision Pro, we are nowhere near making anything as complicated as real world situations. Like, we can barely even get depth sensing to work properly sometimes. So yeah, nowhere near close to VR being this realistic. Their theories get interrupted by Chōta's scream of pain. He's sweating at this point because of his burned leg, and Chōta's first thought from the pain is, maybe it's God. This has to be the work of God. Otherwise, how else could you explain it? I guess that God really does exist. Chōta's breathing gets harder and harder, and his friends start to worry about his well-being. Night falls, Shibuki is nursing Chōta's leg while Karube and Arisu are walking around the mall talking about Chōta's condition. Karube, I think we gotta get Chōta to a doctor. You know how he is. It's probably hurting him way more than he says it is, but it's getting to him. Arisu, let's join a game tomorrow night, just you and me. What? But we got 3 days left in our visa. It's better to get into the games while we still have time. The next time we play, we're gonna have to play with an injured Chōta, so we have to get used to them. If the two of us can figure out how to get through these games, we will be able to protect Chōta. If we don't figure it out, then there's no way we can protect our injured friend. You're right, but maybe we can find a doctor too. We'll meet more people if we keep playing. Do we really have to play again? maybe we'll get an idea about what this game is all about. Arisu, who is flopping over the railing of the mall, suddenly now lifts his head. Yeah, I guess you're right. If we play, we might find out their signature. Yeah, if someone actually created this game, there's got to be some kind of signature that they use, like a formatting. If we can discover that, we might be able to figure out a strategy for the game. And all around the city, in the meantime, buildings start to light up again. Our main focus this time will be on a game taking place in Toesentagaya Apartments. I'm so sorry, just know that it's an apartment building. Usagi, the young woman who we saw standing on top of this high-rise building, makes her way to the apartment. And when she sets foot in the lobby, there are like 7 other people waiting with phones in their hand, and they all look at her, some frightened, some cockily, and one man has his hood up and he doesn't even like glance at her. She picks up her phone and Siri assistant Cortana, whatever you want to call it, welcomes her. Please wait until the game commences. There are currently 10 participants, 1 minute until the registration closes. She turns around to distance herself from all the phones when a young man approaches her. Excuse me, hi, I'm Tata. Where did all the people in Tokyo go? But the boy gets interrupted when a big buff man gets in between him and the girl and goes to grab a phone. And when Tata tries to talk to her again, they get interrupted by Arisu and Karube, who see the number of people who are registered for this game, and they start wondering out loud if there is a doctor among them. As Arisu passes Usagi, the two of them share a look, and you're like, oh yeah, you'll be important for the rest of the series. Arisu takes a good look at everyone in the lobby, but his attention lingers on the hooded man, who still isn't looking at anyone. The hooded man has this like Walkman type device thing like plugged into the outlet, and you can hear faint music coming from the headphones that he has in his ears. But Arisu doesn't have too much time to dwell on this because Siri/Alexa speaks up again. Registration has closed. There are a total of 13 participants. The game will now commence. Tata, the man who was trying to talk to Usagi earlier, approaches Arisu and asks again, excuse me? What is this? I was brought here and I don't really know what's going on. It's a game. But before Arisu can say too much else, Karube whispers in his ear, shut up. Newbies will only slow us down. It might not feel good, but I think it's a good idea to do what Shibuya did. Alexa speaks up again. Difficulty 5 of spades. With that announcement, some guy standing next to the super buff dude starts smirking and Usagi starts stretching. Karube wonders out loud what a 5 of spades means, and to answer that question, a man in a top hat approaches them. It's gonna be physical. Only the strong will survive. I'm Nitobe, nice to meet you. He holds his hand out for a shake from Karube, but Karube backs away. So Nitobe shifts his focus to Arisu when he says, the suits mean something? Exactly, the suit of the playing card usually means what kind of game it's going to be. Clubs is a team battle, diamonds are your wits, and hearts are the worst kind. And why is that? Well, isn't it obvious? It's because it plays with people's hearts. It rips them apart. And the number? Difficulty. The higher the number on the card, the harder the game will be. Siri starts reading out the rules. The game is tag. Rule: avoid whoever is it. Clear condition: discover and touch the symbol hidden in one of the building's rooms within the time limit. You clear the game when the objective is fulfilled. The time limit, 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, the hidden time bomb in the building will explode. And hidden somewhere in the building, we see barrels and barrels of TNT attached to a timer that currently has 20 minutes on it. Meanwhile, Chōta is sitting in his bed praying really earnestly when Shibuya interrupts him. So you believe in God? She walks into his room and hands him a water bottle before sitting down next to him. I don't believe in God, but my mother was obsessed with some cult for a while, and because of that, I was bullied at school. But Arisu and Karube saved me. They're good friends, aren't they? Karube is great at fighting, and the girls really love him. Arisu is smart, and he comes from a wealthy family. And then there's me, the poor one. I'm not really good at anything either, and even now, when I'm hurt and useless, they're still helping me. You know, Chōta, some people like being the strongest ones in their group. It makes them feel better. No, they're different. Think that you might feel good enough to play in the next game? Your leg is hurt, you know, Chōta. Chōta's smile falls, and Shibuya starts running her hand up and down Chōta's thigh. They're just so different, Shibuya. So what are you saying? Are you willing to die to save your friends? And Chōta freezes. Back at the apartment, there's 2 minutes before the game starts, and Arisu and Karube are making their way upstairs. There's like 7 stories, I think, to this building, and Notobe keeps following them. Karube tells him to get lost, but Notobe just kind of laughs it off. Just feeling you guys out. I'm thinking you two might be good enough to be my allies. Arisu makes conversation though. Are you a doctor? Nope, a real estate agent. How many times have you played a game so far? Let's see, I want to say about 5 times. And you've always won? I guess so, yeah. Usagi is climbing the stairs and she hears 2 women screaming because they don't know where to hide, and she makes an offhanded comment about how you should really only rely on yourself before running through the hallway. The hoodie guy, whose name is Chishiya by the way, as we'll learn later, gets out of the elevator at the 7th floor, who walks a couple feet until he sees that he has like a good view of the compound, and he stops. I want to see where everyone is, and this is a perfect location. He sees the buff man and his lackey coming up around the corner, and he waves at them, but they completely ignore him and head the other way. Everyone looks like they're about to die as usual. Let me pause to kind of like give you what the layout of this apartment looks like. So in a lot of Eastern apartment complexes, or I guess I can really only speak for Japan, Korea, and India. I'm not really sure about everyone else, but a lot of these apartment complexes have this open layout concept. So instead of how in America there are these walls that are enclosing the hallways that will take you to your apartment, in this apartment complex, one side of the wall is like missing, so to say. You'll have like a wall that's about like hip level height, and the rest of it will kind of be left so you can see the interior of your apartment complex, and in the middle is kind of like a courtyard. So the complex itself is this gigantic square where on one side is all the doors that will actually take you into your apartment, and the other side is that hip length wall. You have a direct line of sight to the apartment right across from you. In the middle, there's usually this really like made up kind of gathering spot for everyone, and you can use it kind of like a community center of sorts. So Chishiya has situated himself on the top floor where he can look down and see all the other sides of the apartment building except for the one that is like directly underneath him. So back to the story. This time we're going back to Chōta. He's still sitting and talking. I think maybe you've always just been screwed over, Shibuki. You've just never met anyone decent. You're right, and it's the same for you, right? And we get a memory, a childhood memory of Chōta's. He's this little boy, maybe around like 5 or 6 years old, and his mom has brought him to her cult gathering, and she approaches this old man with a smile on her face, and she gives him an envelope. In real time, he starts crying, and Shibuki hugs him. It must have been tough. And then a couple seconds later, she goes, "You're a good person, Chōta. I can trust you, can't I?" And then she kisses him. I think this is more prominent in the manga, as I've learned that this is actually part of a manga that was made into a live action. But Chōta is a very, very shy man. He's never even held like hands with a girl. So this came like really out of left field for him. Shibuki backs away a little after kissing him, and with one tear rolling down her face, she says, "When this started, I was having sex with my boss, and I hated it. I thought that you said you were working. I don't trust those guys. They don't need to know the truth, did they?" And they both lean in again. Shibuki lays Chōta down on the bed, and she starts unbuttoning her shirt. And then, when it's off, she says, "Since we're both the same, we should work together so we can survive." Back at the apartment, everyone is running around as Alexa says the game will now commence. The time limit is 30 minutes. Commence now. The tagger is on the move. And then a trumpet starts playing somewhere. Everything is dead silent after the music piece except for the elevator that makes its way up onto the 6th floor. And then you can hear faint footsteps echoing along the apartment complex. The air is also standing still, and Usagi hears the footsteps getting closer and closer to where she's standing. So she silently hops onto that hip level wall and then hops off of it just as someone wearing a mask turns the corner. And all you can hear is this person's breathing, so you don't know just yet what kind of mask he's wearing, but all he can really see out of is like these 2 circular eye hole pieces in his mask. Arisu and his team start moving to find an open door. Everyone is silently trying to see if there's an apartment door that opens, and before they know it, Alexa speaks up again. 3 minutes have passed. People spread out all over the place, some in hallways, some in stairwells. One man is in a stairwell and he hears heavy breathing coming from behind him. Arisu, Karube, and Notobi are climbing the stairs in search for an open door. When they hear something like a machine gun go off, they pause for a second before they slowly continue to climb up, when out of nowhere, the man that we saw earlier in the stairway falls off the stairs, and he's got bullet wounds in his chest. Arisu peeks around the corner of the wall and it's empty, but they can still hear the footsteps of this person walking around, and the footsteps get closer and closer until Arisu sees a figure come into view. The man is dressed in black pants with a black shirt and a black leather jacket with a black gun on his right hand, and to top it all off, his head is that of a horse. He has a horse head for his head. He sees Arisu peeking around the corner, so he raises his hand and he fires. With that, all hell breaks loose. The three of them start barreling down the stairs. Notobi pushes the two of them aside because he's faster since he's smaller than the two of them, and they reach the 3rd floor when Karube tries to go down even more, but Arisu pulls him back up and they shove themselves into like this small alcove so that they're not out in the open, and they hold their breaths as the horseman rounds the corner. Seeing that nobody is wandering around in the hallways, the horse continues on his little journey to tag more people. He finds Notobi, shoots him dead, and one of the participants who sees this yells, and he can't do this anymore, and he tries to leave the apartment building, but he gets lasered in the head. Next, the horseman finds 2 women down on the 2nd floor, and he shoots one of them and then stops to reload his gun before shooting the next. With all the death and destruction taking place in the apartment complex, Chōta and Shibuki are getting it on in the mall, and while he's in bed, he thinks back to that memory of his mother again. Little Chōta had been praying when his mother whispered in his ear, "Wait for me, okay?" She approaches who probably is the cult leader, and she gives him this envelope before he leads her away. Curiosity killed the cat, and little Chōta follows his mother only to see her stripping down in front of this man. Thankfully, he doesn't have to see the full act because he gets led away by some ladies at the door, and the door to that room closes. Meanwhile, Arisu and Karube are crouching down, looking at the horseman who is only 1 level below them, arguing with each other to come up with some sort of strategy. In the middle of their argument, the horseman faces in their direction, so Karube and Arisu duck, but there is no gunshots that go off. Arisu slowly peeks up again, and he watches as the horseman faces their direction and then turns around and walks away. He didn't see us. Why didn't he see us? His vision is narrowed by the mask. That's his weak point. That must be the way to get through the game. And Arisu starts running through the hallway shouting, "Everyone, he's up here. He's on the 2nd level. He can't see properly because of that mask. Tell us where he is if you see him, and let's all look for the safe space together." Chisya, who still hasn't moved from his spot on the 7th floor, praises Arisu's idea, but he's doubtful that anyone will really respond to him. But he's proven wrong a second later when Usagi shouts, "He's in the 4th level hallway in the central building. Anyone that's there, get out." And she starts running through the hallway when she sees an older woman who looks incredibly lost. Usagi tries to tell her to run, but she doesn't react fast enough, and the horseman turns the corner and he sees the two of them. Usagi, being a climber, uses the pipes that are on the side of the building to climb up a floor while the horseman shoots the older lady dead, and Chisya watches intrigued that there's a climber in the group. Alexa speaks up again. The game is over in 8 minutes. There are currently 7 survivors. The young man who had tried to speak with Usagi and Arisu earlier, Tata, he is beginning to check to see if the door in front of him is unlocked when bullets start raining down on him. He crouches down, hyperventilating because he's getting shot at with the horseman, and the horseman is like on the other side of the square building, so he's not actually anywhere near Tata. He had just seen him from across the building and he's like shooting bullets down at him. So Tata is crouched down, hyperventilating, and Arisu, who is close by, crawls over and pulls the poor boy to safety. Chisya, in the meantime, seeing that there is now 6 minutes and 35 seconds left, pulls down his hood and finally starts moving. Arisu, Karube, and Tata head down 1 more level, and Karube makes sure that he sends the 2 of them first before he pulls out a knife that he got from the kitchen. "Let's take that tagger down." "What? No, Karube, we're up against the machine gun." And then a voice from their right corrects Arisu. No, he's a human. He's 190 centimeters tall, weighs about 90 kilograms, and he's right-handed. He's a pretty good shot too, so he probably has some military or law enforcement background. And it's this really buff dude from the beginning. His name is Aguni, as we'll also learn later. And there's a lot of characters in the show, I know, but hopefully so far it's been kind of easy to keep up with all of them. I'm only trying to give names to the people I think will be important in the show. Aguni's lackey comes into view with a fire extinguisher, and when he hands the fire extinguisher to Aguni, Arisu notices that they've both got like these tags on their wrists with numbers on them. Aguni says 010. Aguni hands the fire extinguisher to Karube. Let's get this guy. He then turns to Arisu. You go look for the safe space. Karube is a little hesitant to split up, but Arisu persuades him. There is no other choice. I'll go up top. He's about to leave when Usagi jumps down onto the ledge of their floor. I checked the south side of the 5th floor and the south and east side of the 6th floor. I didn't check the 1st and 2nd floors yet. All right, I'll go and check those. And she leaps off the edge of the building, and everyone is concerned for her until they see that she's like freaking scaling the walls. Aguni heads down with Karube and his lackey while Arisu and Usagi start checking more and more doors. On the 7th floor, Arisu is getting frustrated because nothing, not even a single one of those damn doors is opening. And at the same time, Aguni's lackey is leading the horsemen to where Aguni is. And Aguni is telling Karube about the plan. He's using a Mach 10. He goes through about 32 rounds in about 1.5 seconds, so we'll take him while he's reloading. The lackey has made his way to where Aguni is, and he starts baiting the horseman, but he stops when he sees that Aguni isn't moving to save him. Aguni waits for the horseman to shoot his lackey, and when the horseman's eyes turn to face Karube, Aguni unleashes the fumes from the fire extinguisher. This blinds the horse, and the man starts firing randomly until his magazine runs out, and when he's reloading, Karube bonks him on the head with the head of the fire extinguisher. But it doesn't have the desired effects. I guess that horse mask thing is really, really effective because the man just stumbles to the wall before righting himself and kicking Karube in the stomach. Aguni tackles the man from behind, but the man knows how to fight, so Aguni gets his butt kicked by the horseman. And while his focus is on Aguni, Karube sneaks up behind him and he manages to stab the man 3 times before he gets thrown onto the ground. The horseman then pulls out a machete and he starts trying to hack Karube to pieces. He manages to actually nick the side of Karube's stomach before Aguni gets up off the ground and kicks him. Arisu, in the meanwhile, has now reached the end of the 7th floor and he is freaking the fork out. None of the doors have opened and he's peeking over the ledge when he sees the door that Tata was trying to open earlier, the one that he had saved him from. And that wall around the door is surrounded by like a bunch of bullet holes, and Arisu is wondering why the horseman shot at the door from such a large distance. Up until this point, the horseman has always made sure to get extremely close to anyone before he actually starts shooting. So that means Arisu makes his way down to that hallway where he sees Chishiya nonchalantly walking up to that apartment as well, and they both realize the same thing. Arisu puts his hand on the doorknob, but he doesn't open it because he still has a question. Why was he chasing us? He could have just waited around here. Guess there's something we don't know, but we don't really have much time left to figure it out. Chishiya pulls out his phone to show that they have less than 4 minutes left. So the two of them enter the apartment and it's completely dark. It's a small apartment with a sink on one wall and a door on another wall. And while Chishiya and Arisu are looking at the door, a horseman appears from behind them with a gun. Thankfully, Arisu manages to push himself and Chishiya away in time, and Chishiya quickly pulls out his taser that he had and he tasers the man. The horse falls to the ground and Chishiya, is proud of himself because he was prepared. But as soon as he says that, the man lifts his gun and he starts shooting again. Chishiya leaves the apartment and locks the door while Arisu goes through the other door in the apartment and he locks it behind him. The horseman tries getting into the room, but Arisu is in luck because the door doesn't open and it seems to be a pretty sturdy door. Arisu looks up and the room is brightly lit with checkered floors and there's 2 buttons on opposite sides of the wall, and the sign below the buttons say push both buttons at once to clear the game. Arisu literally smacks his head and then he heads out onto the patio that's attached to the room and he starts shouting, "Someone over here! The safe space is up here, room number 406. I can't clear the game alone. We need 2 people to do it." Usagi, who is still checking the doors, and Chishiya, who is outside the apartment, hear him, but so does the horseman from the other side of the door. Bullets start firing at Arisu's door, and this time the lock comes clean off the door, and with no choice left, Arisu tries to fight the horseman. At the same time, Agumi is locked in a fight with the other horseman, and the knife that the horseman had is being pressed into like the left side of Agumi's face, giving him a scar running through his face. Both of the fights are in full swing, and Alexa is counting down. 30 seconds left in the game. Usagi comes flying in through the patio to help Arisu, and Chishiya is trying his best to get through the door without getting hit by all the bullets that are flying around. 20 seconds. But Chishiya sees Usagi, he throws her his taser, and in the meantime, on the other side, Agumi is punching the shit out of the horseman. 10 seconds. Usagi catches the taser and manages to nip the horseman in the leg, bringing him down. 5, 4, Arisu and Usagi both look at each other and lunge for the buttons. 3, 2, 1. And they both push the buttons exactly with 1 second left on the clock. Game cleared. Congratulations. The horseman that Arisu was fighting takes off the mask, and it's a woman who looks afraid. But before she can say a word, her phone beeps, and then her collar that she had around her neck starts beeping before it goes off and her head explodes. The same thing happens to the horseman that Agumi was fighting, and Karube is horrified. So this guy had no choice but to play this game as well. Agumi is checking the horseman for ammo so that he can take it with him, and that's when Karube hears a static noise coming from Agumi's lackey. He goes over to search the pockets, and in there he finds a walkie-talkie, and from there are words being broadcasted through it. Are you there? Over. Do you copy? Repeat. Are you there? The answer is in our hands now. It is in our hands. Karube starts responding back. Hey, can you hear me? What answer? What's the answer? The radio clicks on, and someone from the other side says, come back. The answer is in our hands now. Get back to the beach. Karube wants to respond, but the pain where he got sliced over in the stomach takes over, and all he can do is bend down in pain. And when he looks up, Agumi is gone, and the walkie-talkie keeps saying, return, return to the beach, return. Arisu, in the meantime, leaves apartment number 406, and he's crouching down in the hallway in a daze, and Usagi exits, and Arisu looks at her before voicing his thoughts. That woman, I killed her. Everyone is forced to play the game. It really wasn't your fault. Usagi starts walking away when Arisu asks, what the hell is all this? Who knows? I don't know either, but it amazes me that I'm willing to do just about anything to survive. She turns around to face him. If we don't want to do that, we might as well just die. And then she walks away. Inside the apartment, Chishiya is looking at the bloody walls, thinking God knows what, before turning his attention to the horsewoman. He starts looking through her pockets, and he finds a piece of paper with a really odd drawing on it. There's this circle in the middle, and then there's like 10 or 15 squiggly lines that are like going through the circle, starting at random positions, ending at random positions, and there's like this small pen-sized hole in one of the lines. At the mall, Shibuya is tallying the number of days that they have left on her visa, and she grows concerned when she sees that her visa ends today. She's looking at her cipher bank ID before talking to herself. I worked so hard, did everything I can to get into that company. I even hooked up with someone I hated, and I finally got the promotion. And we see a little bit of what her life was like before she entered these games. She had just been promoted to lead her firm's development into the next generation AI after sleeping with her boss, and in real time she is pissed. She went through so much to get that position, so she has to survive if she wants to enjoy the fruits of her labor. Her intense staring gets interrupted by Chōta, who is happily welcoming his friends back. Arisu, Karube, I was worried about you guys since you didn't come back this morning. The friends hug, and Shibuya patches up Karube before they start talking about the walkie-talkie. Karube wants to head to the beach immediately. If we go to the beach, we might be able to find something. Maybe there's an evacuation center. Maybe everyone is over there. The closest beaches to us are Shonan, Itsu, and Ito, right? Again, I'm really sorry about my pronunciations. The problem lies in the fact that these beaches are actually kind of far from Tokyo, so if their visas run out during the journey, it'll be a pretty big problem for them. On top of that, Chōta is really badly injured, so they'll be moving a lot slower than if everybody was healthy. They agreed to extend their visas today, and then tomorrow they will head to the beach. Arisu goes out into the patio that this mall seems to have. I don't know why they have a patio, but they do. Thinking about what Usagi said to him when Shibuki comes out to join him because she needs a smoke. Arisu, what's the matter? It's nothing, really. Say something. Let's see, have you heard any gossip recently? I saw someone die right in front of me, but I survived, so what should I say? You were glad. I mean, were you glad that it wasn't you? I didn't think about that, but yeah, I guess I was. All I could really think about was surviving at that moment. Yeah, I get it. I'll tell you something. On my very first game day, everyone died except for me. I didn't want to die like that. What I really wanted was to survive. While Arisu and Shibuki are having a heart-to-heart, Karube is back at the bar that he'd gotten fired from before he was, thrown out into the streets and into this game, and he's looking around for something. He finds it on one of those pipes that are running along the ceiling. It's a ring. He had intended to give it to the girl that he was making out with before he got punched in the face. And back at the mall, Shibuki is getting anxious. Night has fallen and the game arenas have lit up, but Karube is not back yet. Let's just go. If we don't join a game, the two of us are gonna die. Chōta, let's go. The two of them have a lot more days left on their visa. Shibuki helps Chōta get up, and when he's standing upright, Karube comes up the stairs and he pats Arisu on the shoulder, apologizing. Sorry, I just needed to get something. And Chōta explodes. What do you mean, sorry? Shibuki and I, for us, there is no tomorrow. The room freezes because Chōta has never really been one who yelled before. He's always been the person to make sure that the three of them got along. Karube looks at Arisu in shock, and the four of them head out to look for a game, and they make their way to this huge glass building, and inside is a botanical garden. In the botanical garden, there are these 3 tables, one of them with 4 phones, one of them with a multitude of tools and weapons, and the third table has 4 gadget looking things. It's a combination of glasses, gamer headphones, and a collar. Seeing all of the tools and the weapons, they wonder if there's something that needs to be dismantled during this challenge. Karube picks up the machete, and then they turn their attention to the glasses collar things. They look down at them with wide eyes before picking up the phones. And when they've all signed up, Alexa speaks. Entry registered. And then the TV lights up in this botanical garden and carnival music starts to play. And on the screen it says, "Welcome, sponsored by Shinjuku Natural Botanical Garden. Please wear the goggles and proceed to the botanical garden." The team picks up the gadgets and they put the goggles on their face and they clasp the collars around their neck. And when they start looking at each other, they realize that these goggles recognize the other players. The goggles highlight whoever they're staring at and they put their name on top of their faces. Everyone is suited up and Alexa speaks up again. Registration is now closed. The game will commence. Difficulty 7 of hearts. Arisu and Karube, who know the significance of the hearts, shoot each other a look. Karube grows nervous because not only is this a heart, but it's a level 7 heart. So it has to be difficult. Shibuki, whose first game was the 2 of hearts, is also uneasy, and Alexa tells them the rules. Game, hide and seek. Rules. 1 person will be the wolf and the other 3 will be lambs. A lamb found by the wolf will become the next wolf and must hide so that the wolf does not find them. Clear condition, the player who is the wolf at the game's end will be the winner. Time limit, 15 minutes. When 15 minutes have passed, the collars fastened to the lamb's necks will explode. And the team is shaken up. Chōta breaks the silence. Explode? What does she mean, explode? Does anyone know what this means? And Shibuki confirms what everyone is thinking. That means that only 1 player will survive. We'll play hide and seek, and whoever's the wolf at the end of the game wins. The other 3 will be dead. It's a very simple game. And Alexa beeps up again. The first wolf is ID number 1000247, Chōta Seigwa. Game time limit, 15 minutes. Commence. And we see the wolf picture appear on the earphones that are over Chōta's ears, and at the same time the TV display changes to be like a game board with each person's picture and a wolf picture next to Chōta's face. Panicking, Chōta starts trying to rip off the collar, and Arisu jumps in to stop him. "Stop it, Chōta! If you try to take that off, the collar might explode." "I don't care! Chōta, stop it!" Chōta turns to look at Arisu, and the moment their eyes connect, the wolf symbol changes from Chōta's headphones and appears on Arisu's headphones. Confused, Karube calls out to Arisu, and again, the moment that Arisu and Karube lock eyes, the wolf transfers to Karube. Shibuki has a revelation while she's watching them, and she approaches the table with the tools and the weapons, saying, "There's a catch in this game. If the wolf doesn't survive, it's because the lambs killed it." The friends look towards Arisu for guidance, but Shibuki picks up a hammer and screams, "Everyone!" They all turn to look towards her, and as soon as the wolf is transferred to her, she books it into the greenery of the botanical garden. Chōta is confused, but Karube realizes that the person who needs to hide is the wolf. This is a game of hide and seek where the wolf is the person who needs to hide. He starts chasing after Shibuki while Chōta and Arisu scream after him. Arisu runs after Karube, and Chōta is trying his best to make his way to them as well, but his leg is just not in the best condition, so he ends up falling like halfway in the hallway, like the hallway that leads into the botanical garden, and he starts crying. He tries to plead with Shibuki to stop running so that they can work together, so they can figure this out together, but no one responds to him. In the meanwhile, Karube has found Shibuki, and things start getting physical. When she refuses to look at him in the eyes after being thrown around for a little bit, Karube pulls out his knife and he swings at her. She dodges successfully, but then she grabs a rock and hits Karube on the side of his stomach. Remember that this is where he had the injury from the last game, and he doubles over in pain and falls onto the ground, and Shibuki for some reason decides to turn to look at him, and Karube, realizing that he now has the wolf, closes his eyes and attempts to stand up, but Shibuki grabs him and repeatedly hits him where his wound is. Their fight gets interrupted by Arisu, who screams at them, and from across the bridge, Karube looks at him, and the wolf is transferred to Arisu. Arisu, sensing that he can't talk sense into the two of them, decides to run. Desperate, Shibuki gives Karube one final hit before jumping into the water and making her way to where she last saw Arisu. Chōta, who is still stuck at the beginning, starts praying, and Arisu is running around the garden when his path gets cut off by Shibuki on one side and Karube on the other. He puts his head down as Shibuki starts questioning him. "Do you really want to live that badly?" "All I need is some time, Shibuki. I'll think of a way to get us out of this game." "Sure you will. You just want to be the only survivor. It doesn't matter to you if we're dead. Make me the wolf. Your life is shit anyway." Karube, who is still groaning in pain, also voices his opinion. "Arisu, we can't all survive this game." Shibuki, who has had enough of trying to reason with Arisu, starts running at Arisu with her hammer, but she gets tackled to the ground by Chōta. He's holding down a struggling Shibuki while telling Arisu to run, and she starts yelling. Shibuki starts yelling at Chōta, saying that she let him sleep with her, and this is how he repays her? Arisu runs as fast as he can, and he finds this little alleyway with some rock formations on it. He stops, pulls out a bunch of tools that he's shoved into his pockets. He's gathered different sized screwdrivers and pliers, and he picks up one of the screwdrivers and tries to unscrew the collar from the goggles. There's this metal pipe that's holding the goggles to the collar, so he's trying to separate the two of them. As he's trying to unscrew the two of them, he can hear Karube through his headphones. Arisu, where are you? Come out. You're just gonna hide until time runs out? Come on, Arisu. You were playing us all, weren't you? You said that it'll work out if we cooperate. From the very start, you wanted to be the only survivor. The screwdrivers don't look like they're working because it looks like the collar and the goggles are actually connected by something other than screws. So he moves on to the pliers, and this is where we see there's this wire that's surrounding the collar, and that's probably what will trigger the explosion, is my guess. So he puts the pliers to the wire, and he's standing there like that for a couple of seconds before he falls to the ground. The pliers falls out of his hand, and he can't do it, especially not after he already saw somebody die with their head getting exploded literally last night. Brokenhearted, he's on his knees and he starts crying. I'm sorry. Karube, who is still pissed, responds, what's the use of saying sorry? In the end, that's all you'll ever do. Ever since you dropped out of school, all you do is say sorry. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And Arisu thinks back to his life before he got transported to this messed up world. His father and his brother are sitting at a table a couple feet away from Arisu, and his father is congratulating his brother on his acceptance into college. Congratulations on your acceptance, Hajime. You're really getting to accomplish something. I know that your mother would be happy too, and this is just the beginning. I'll see it through, Dad. I don't want to end up like Rohei. I can't teach Rohei anything, but you're different, Hajime. Inside you, there is ambition. You are different from your brother, Rohei. Rohei, why don't you come over and join us? Like, he will do that after you've said such a thing about him. But Arisu, who is still sitting on the couch listening to this, continues playing on his phone, not answering his dad. In present time, Karube is still shouting at Arisu, if you're happy being a loser, then let me be the wolf. Karube, who is still stumbling his way through the garden trying to find Arisu, falls onto the ground, and the ring that he had wanted to give to his girlfriend falls out in front of him. Alexa reminds them that there's only 5 minutes remaining, and Chōta, who is still holding down a struggling Shibuki, finally speaks up. I've had enough. I don't care who survives in the end, but I've had enough. I don't want it to end this way. Karube reaches for the ring, and he remembers a conversation he had with his girlfriend about Arisu and Chōta. She had told him that he was truly very kind because he loved his friends so much. Arisu once again thinks about when he was sitting on that couch ignoring his father, and that day his father was throwing harsh words at him. Chōta and Karube had snuck into their compound. They had managed to catch Arisu's attention through his window, and they start making really funny faces at him, and he smiled so brightly seeing the two of them. And that night they ran around the streets of Tokyo, ate ramen on the sides of the street, rode bikes together, or rather I guess Karube was actually doing the pedaling and Arisu and Chōta were just like sitting behind him enjoying the ride. Arisu starts crying even more when he starts to think about the dreams that they had made together. They were at Karube's bar one day when he told them about his dream. I want to buy a huge farm in Australia, and then I'll invite you guys over and we'll drink beer in the morning. Chōta is completely on board with this idea. That sounds so nice, and I'll deliver a triple grade A steak to you guys with my drone delivery service. The drones will be fully automated, and I'll even develop an app for them. All right then, cheers to our future. You better keep your promise, Chōta, you hear? And they drink to their future that day. 3 minutes remaining. Arisu makes up his mind. Guys, I'll quit. I'll drop out of this game. You're all that matters to me. If someone has to lose, then it's going to be me. I'm leaving the game. He gets up from his crouching position. Karube, Chōta, where are you guys? But he gets no response. Chōta is dragging a struggling Shibuki into some bushes, and Karube is still in some alleyway leaning against some wall or something. Arisu starts running through the garden, screaming for his friends, and as he's doing this, we see a particular sentence from the rule of the game getting highlighted. It says, hide so that the wolf won't find you. And as Arisu is going around begging his friends to come out, we see another part of the rules. Hide well, lamb. At one point, Arisu ends up behind a plant that Karube is resting against, so Karube drops down onto the floor so that he cannot be seen. And guys, I cried so much at this portion. The background music, the atmosphere of the scene, it's just completely heart-wrenching. And when Arisu is far enough away from Karube, he speaks up. Stop yelling, always laughing like idiots, drinking the night away. When I'm with you guys, I forget about all my problems. Hey, do you guys remember that freaking hot day where we made noodles with shaved ice? Karube, where are you? Karube! We laughed a lot that day, didn't we, Karube? Chōta? Chōta laughs so hard that noodles came out of his nose. Chōta starts crying, and Shibuki finally stops struggling and hugs Chōta. Arisu is still running around screaming for his friends. 30 seconds remaining. It can't be me. I shouldn't be the one to survive. 20 seconds remaining. I'm right behind you, Arisu. And the man Karube is resting nonchalantly up against the wall, smoking his final cigarette. Chōta, in the meantime, starts apologizing for taking away Shibuki's right to fight. 10 seconds. With a smile on his face, Karube thanks Arisu. Chōta and Shibuki hug each other, and Arisu starts rushing towards Karube as the countdown begins. 5, 4, 3, 2, and he sees his friend's head explode in front of his eyes. Arisu's face gets covered with the blood of his friend, and his friend falls to the ground in front of him. Arisu falls to his knees, crying and screaming, and we see the remnants of their belongings scattered around the garden. We see Karube's engagement ring, Chōta's crutches, and Shibuki's work ID. And that is where I'm going to end it. This drama was so freaking well done. The plot caught me completely off guard when I first saw it. Like, everything was so well executed, and I didn't even imagine that this was the direction that they were going to take the drama in when I first saw it. And honestly, I am kind of surprised with Chōta's character. It drew a lot of attention from me, particularly in the first 3 episodes, because one of the things that stood out to me was how incredibly religious Chōta was. This is completely coming from my personal experience. I work in tech, and from my personal experience, I know very, very few people who are tech enthusiasts, but also very religious. So I thought his character was a bit interesting because of that, and of course, as I usually do with all of these shows and movies, I scoured Reddit to just gather some people's opinions. And I actually found out that, okay, I guess I found out a bunch of things from scouring Reddit this time. So I found out that Alice in Borderland is a manga that has been made into a live action drama. And I read that in the manga, Chōta actually doesn't have this messed up backstory of how his mom was in a cult. He was just a kid who only had his friends, and I don't think I did a very good job at bringing this out in the retelling, but Chōta feels very inadequate. He feels like he doesn't really have anything to offer to their friend group. Like, Arisu is smart and rich, Karube is kind of like the protector of the group, and Chōta is just, he's just a boy. Like, he doesn't have anything, and he feels very inadequate for that, and that's his backstory in the manga. There's no weird like cult stuff, which was an interesting change for the live action. I'm not too sure if I have too many thoughts on this change, because it doesn't really affect the rest of the story since, you know, Chōta is dead. The second thing about the characters that I found kind of interesting on Reddit was that according to the manga, Shibuki wasn't this manipulative in the manga. In the show, they made every action she took seem like something that would only help her. Like, the only reason she ever even slept with Chōta in the first place was to kind of like cement her position in the group, to make sure that nobody would ever turn against her, because Chōta at least would defend her. But in the manga, she was apparently a very nice person who was genuinely just a sweetheart. So it's interesting that they changed her character as well. A lot of people on Reddit did not like both of these changes. I don't have an opinion on them, but maybe you do, and I would love to hear it. So let me know what you guys think so far, and I will see you next time. Bye!